Welcome to the Big Door Prize recap. A mysterious Morpho machine appears at Johnson's general store. It is used to tell people's destiny. On this day, it is Dusty's birthday. He is showered with gifts, including a theremin and cool looking scooter. But strangely, he notices new blue dots on his body and decides to keep it a secret as to not alarm anyone. He lives with his wife, Cass, and their daughter, Trina. News spreads fast of the Morpho machine, with teachers like Principal Pat being greatly influenced by the machine. It told her she was going to be a motorcyclist, so she spent her savings on a bike. Others like Nat was given storyteller, which was her secret dream. The machine influenced people to change their entire way of life, which is one of the reasons why Dusty is skeptical. Dusty works as a history teacher, and even his students talk about their destinies, like one is going to be a meteorologist. Jacob is one of his students, an introvert, and his twin brother, Colton, had recently died. Colton had been dating Trina at the time, so they are both reeling from grief. He hears that she is dropping some subjects, and on his birthday, they go to her workplace, Giorgio's, to celebrate it. But he gets FOMO, waking up Mr. Johnson in the middle of the night and figuring out his destiny, a teacher/whistler, and he is already both. Cass had already taken the Morpho machine and got royalty. Not knowing what that exactly means though, they move on with life as normal. Word spreads fast, and they have a gathering for Dusty's birthday dinner with Dusty's parents, Eloise and Carrie, and Cass's mother Izzy. The Morpho machine has given them the drive to pursue their dreams. They'll be divorcing. Eloise is traveling the world as a healer, and Carrie is going into modeling, booking several gigs already. Cass accepts her card and confronts her mother about selling her items in her shop, taking them back. Meanwhile, Jacob was getting harassed at school for what his card was, so he ditches class and started smoking some gas, stumbling onto Principal Pat, who had crashed her motorcycle. He saves her, and his card is revealed to be Hero. Mr. Johnson takes the photo to promote the best destinies from the Morpho machine. Their communal grief and close connection to Colton made Trina and Jacob grow closer, and they begin a secret relationship. Cass becomes more expressive and being more forward as a royal, and this places insecurities onto Dusty. Thinking that she might leave him, he starts to change himself, getting a tattoo because she preferred men with tattoo, eating spicier foods because Cass liked them too. But overall, he becomes more open and dances at Principal Pat and Mr. Malik's wedding. They got a swift ceremony as they believed it was a calling. The Morpho machine had drawn them closer. Reeling from the grief of her ex, Izzy runs into her ex Martha with her new girlfriend Rose, but as mayor she abuses her power and decides to not give them their desired permits. Meanwhile, Father Reuben, a priest, explains his backstory over a drink with Hannah, a bartender. He had a wife that he loved until she passed. Unable to go on, he found the Morpho machine. It told him he was going to be a priest, and that is what he became. But now when he tries it again, it foretold that he would be a father. Confused, he decides to take a break from his sacred vows and embrace Hannah for a dance. Giorgio is jealous of Dusty, more that his wife is Cass. The day of Colton and Jacob's birthday arrives. Dusty and Cass's relationship has been bumpy, and to smooth this over, he takes Principal Pat's advice of taking Cass on a getaway to Martha's Inn, a Nautica-inspired hotel, leaving Trina all alone for Colton's birthday. She pops over to Bue's place, Jacob and Colton's father. After a short moment of commiseration to try and comfort Bue on being a failure of a father, she admits that she was a horrible girlfriend that actually cheated on Colton when he was still alive. Surprised, he abruptly kicks her out. Inquiring on if Jacob had any knowledge of this, he lies, saying that it is probably someone from the basketball team because he used to play for them. Meanwhile, at the hotel, they meet Glenn and Hawaii. After a short conversation, she prompts them for a threesome, and excited, Dusty injures himself by falling over, so Cass rushes out to get ice, and Dusty realizes that the blue spots on his cheeks are multiplying. Outside, Cass finds out that Martha and Izzy broke up because of Izzy, and she fed Cass the lies that they broke up because Martha never liked her. With this realization, she decides to return home, and starts to harbor resentment for Izzy. Coach Eagleson recently got fired for getting cheater on his Morpho card, and as the basketball coach, he was forced to resign. Dusty takes on this new leadership position, with Giorgio and Bue joining too because they went 3-7 in the senior school basketball team, partially because Bue wants to figure out who was hooking up with Trina behind Colton's back. A long drawn out day of basketball, and Bue inviting them over to practice at his house. Trina's card was revealed to be Liar, and since Jacob worked at Mr. Johnson's shop the day that it arrived, he gives her a blank sample card that she can write on to change her destiny, and they decide to break up for Colton. Bue realized that none of the basketball players did it, but it was Jacob all along, spotting Trina leaving his room. He admits that now it is all over. Cass and Nat have a new business venture, cards and new gadgets to represent the Morpho machine as merchandise, and Mr. Johnson accepts to start selling it. They theorize on a gala for people to be able to achieve their Morpho dreams. They decide to throw the gala at Giorgio's place. Working at Giorgio's, Trina decides to use the blank Morpho card and inscribe Gondolier, allowing her to work the easiest job for the night, but also accidentally revealing to Izzy that there are multiple duplicates of blanks that can be used and manipulated. Giorgio sends Dusty away to get ice to try and mac on his wife Cass, but in getting the ice, he stops for some blow to talk about his feelings and lessen the anxiety. Cass stresses that no one has donated, and their goal is 10,000, and to help out, Giorgio starts to auction off all his valuables. Father Ruben attends the gala to talk to Hannah, figuring out that she on different occasions hooked up with Giorgio, which greatly disturbs him as a priest. At the end of the day, they barely reach the goal, and Cass thanks him for it, and this is when he tries to make his move and hit on Cass, but Trina interrupts him and she walks off. At home, Dusty starts trying the Thurman to impress Cass, but she is just disappointed that he didn't return to the party, and she continues to decline Giorgio's invitations. After the gala, Izzy breaks into Johnson's to try and destroy the Morpho machine, but is stopped by Jacob, who explains a fascinating concept, that the machine is magical as the social security number doesn't correlate and you can use any part of your body instead of your hands, but it will still give you the predetermined destiny, correlating with each individual person. The following day, Trina informs Dusty about Giorgio's advances and a potential affair going on. In a glory of rage, he throws out the Thurman and rushes over to Giorgio's place, finding him slumped over, depressed and bold. There he is empathetic and decides to try and help him out. On the other side of town, Cass confronts Izzy about her lies and deceptions of Martha, and she invites her out to lunch for a conversation to explain everything. She moves out from New York for Martha to a quaint, quiet town. She sacrificed her life as a dancer and wanted to stop being bored, so she ran for mayor, which too upset Martha, but she overall didn't want or liked having kids. They fixed their relationship, and she admits that her Morpho card was Ghost. They decide to manufacture her a new one called Dancer, and at their gathering for Johnson's Morpho card of a magician, Izzy approves Martha's permit. They attend the event, which makes Dusty realize that he was meant to stay at a small town in Canada called Whistler. The night moves on, and Johnson does the innovative trick of swapping out Cass for Izzy, who cuts in to expose their operation, saying that she is stepping down as mayor for lying about her card, and that Cass has been manufacturing fake cards like her Dancer one, which means her royalty card is suspicious, and asking them to question where the machine came from, even when Jacob was working on the night, but he never saw or heard anything. Cass tries to conclude this, but their reputations have all been destroyed. After the disaster of a show, Trina admits that she was cheating on Colton with Jacob, and they try to comfort her. They get dinner with Nat, so she can tell them about the first Deerfield Digest, a local newspaper that she is starting. Also that Izzy will stay as mayor. Giorgio appears and apologizes for trying to sleep with Cass, saying that his motivations came from Carrie, who gives them some words of wisdom to face their fears, and with this, Trina decides to announce that her and Jacob were cheating on Colton behind his back to the entire school. Shocked at first, Jacob blames Trina for always placing herself first, but with acceptance from Boo, he apologizes and they decide to all go to the annual Deer Fest run by Mayor Izzy. The forecast says that there will be a storm washing over soon, and Yuri, with the Morpho card sole survivor, worries that the hay bales will be dangerous for them. Xavier ran into the Thurman and gave it to Mr. Johnson because it is connected to the Morpho machine. After combining the pieces, Mr. Johnson tried to break open the compartment, but an alarm triggered and electricity jolted through his body. The nurse caught him and called the ambulance. At the festival, Cass causes a massive scene, having an outburst from someone saying she tricked them into funding the potential fund, which was most likely a scam. But she is taken away by Izzy before she can cause a bigger scene, and Izzy finally admits it was her fault, but Cass hugs her and tries to forgive her, leaving to hang out with Dusty on the Ferris wheel. But in the middle of the ride, it is stopped when the entire town's power shuts off. They have a brief moment to have a heart-to-heart. They want to split because their ideals don't align anymore. On the contrary, Trina and Jacob want to start dating again, not knowing what will happen in the future. The savior Giorgio arrives and, using Glenn's cherry picker, rescues each and every one of them and is granted with a kiss by Nat. They decide to walk home, where they spot emanating blue light from Johnson's. They peer in to find the Morpho machine has evolved, but behind them, Hannah has a bag full of blue dots, recently hooking up with Father Ruben, who had decided to come out of priesthood. And this is where the story ends. Make sure to like and subscribe, and for more surprising stories, watch this.